Welcome back to Show and Tell. I'm Billie. I'm coming to you from Manhattan, and today I have a guest. As usual, it's someone who I know this much about. I know that her name is Shay White, and I know that she knits, and I know that she knits with luxury yarns. So before we get into talking about that, though, my standard question always is, if we come to visit your town, what should we look for that we wouldn't find in a guidebook? So where
Um,
are you, first of all?
I live in a little town called Mulberry. It's right between Tampa and Orlando, Florida, um, kind of next to a slightly larger town called Lakeland, which a lot of people in this area know. And if you were to come to my town, one of my favorite places that I go to is the Seven Wetlands Preserve. It's a wildlife conservation area for our town, and you can see so many really cool animals there, like for wildlife in the conservation area. And there's an absolutely giant alligator that likes to wander around in that area. So it's not in a lot of guidebooks, but it's definitely very pretty, very peaceful. Yeah.
Okay, Lakeland, is that where the university is that has all the Frank Lloyd Wright buildings?
Yes, I think so.
I have been there.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a
Yeah.
real Frank Lloyd Wright aficionado and just lover. So yeah, it's out of the way, but I went there because it's the highest concentration of Frank Lloyd Wright buildings, I think, of anywhere in the world, and it's not an important college. But anyway, so being near Orlando is kind of fun too.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, tell me about how it came to be that you would knit with the very expensive yarn called qiviut. For those who don't know, qiviut is a fiber that comes from the muskox, and the reason that I know, and I think most people don't, is that I've been to Alaska.
Oh,
And
wow.
when you get off the ship and you search out the local yarn shops, you're going to find that they're selling this tiny ball of yarn that they advertise as being super soft, softer than cashmere, and it's like $200 a ball. So
Hmm.
I know that Windy Valley Muskox sells different gradations of qiviut. Some
I do.
are just pure and some are blends with merino and I don't know what else. But what I guess tell us about, which specific yarn you used and what possessed you to do that.
Yes, I used this is the Royal blend. It's 50% silk, 50% of the qiviut. And I chose that one because for a sweater, I felt like having the silk mixed in would give it some strength. I think qiviut on its own is absolutely gorgeous. It's very expensive, which is understandable because of how much work it takes to harvest the fur. But the price point wasn't necessarily the only reason I went with the 50-50 blend. I just think like it comes apart a little bit easy. So it's not quite the greatest fiber for a garment, like a full garment, unless it's just like for very, very special occasions, maybe a shawl or something like that. So yeah, I did go with the 50-50 blend, and I think that that for me was a good choice. It's holding up really well. And when I've worn it a few times in the past couple of weeks because I wake up pretty early for work sometimes and it's been like 40 degrees. So I'll wear it for a full day and then I take it off and it's like everything else feels rough almost in comparison. Um, I wanted to try working with qiviut because I am just really interested in fibers. So I saw somebody speaking about it on TikTok, like a few years back, and I had just had it on my list for a very, very long time. I'm an environmental scientist, and then that's what I went to school for as well. So just kind of the natural sciences aspect of the fiber itself was really interesting to me. I was looking at slides from microscopes and stuff, not any that I had, but just like studies and why this fiber is one of the warmest in the world. I have found that to be really, really interesting. And a lot of people will ask me like, why would you make that when you live in Florida? But I'm originally from Boston. I've only lived here for the past 6 or 7 years. I came here for school. So it does get a lot of use when I go home to visit or like if I were to move back in the future. It's cold up there too. So yeah,
Well, 40 degrees is pretty
very
cold.
chilly. Yeah, it is pretty cold. Just get that a little bit in like January, February here in Florida. But
So I think that you should show us this sweater. I've
okay.
seen it online, of course, but it's a masterpiece. It's
Thank you.
unbelievable. And I don't want to deprive viewers of seeing this unbelievable thing.
Let me go grab it. I'll be right back.
Okay, okay, the big reveal.
It's very, very soft and is truly just like one of the most luxurious things I've ever felt. I don't think I've ever felt cashmere that's quite this soft, although I do know that they are similar on the scale of softness to touch. It just mixed with the silk feels so, so soft.
Just hold it right close to your camera so we get like the full, yeah, so you can actually see the stitches. Wow. Okay, so let's talk about this. Is there a name for this pattern?
Yes, this is the Ants in a Row raglan from Meredith. She goes by the Leaf Hopper. She's on Ravelry. Her pattern is with a larger wool weight. So I did modify this to me. I worked the largest size possible, and then added more rows as well. It's not something that's super difficult to modify just because it's very repeat. And the way that I modified was just adding a row in the middle and three in the back. So just making it larger. It's a repeat row. Nothing crazy as far as technical or like math work goes. But yeah, she has some really cool patterns. I knew I wanted to do this one with the qiviut because I knew these were the two colors I wanted to do. So I saw this on Instagram one day and I was like, that's perfect because red would be perfect for ants. And then I think the pink would be a really pretty backdrop. But yeah.
Okay, so most people, I'm I'm really generalizing, and maybe this is even going to sound judgmental, but most people who would invest a great deal of money into a sweater that, using your words, is luxury,
Hmm.
wouldn't necessarily choose to do something so funky. They might
Yeah.
choose something that would also be elegant, whatever that is.
Hmm.
So what what is it about you, your background, your profession maybe, that made you go this route instead of something that would be like very refined and, I don't know another word for elegant, but elegant. Piss
I,
elegant.
yeah, no, I get a lot of comments about it. Why would you choose that pattern? Like that's so weird almost. In
No, I
some
don't
cases,
have a problem with the pattern. I don't have a problem at all. But
right. But for
I'm
the
just
luxury
question,
aspect, it's like
yeah.
outside the box
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
I did something here that's, also figural
Mhm.
and colorful, two colors, but it's not a luxury yarn. If I were going to
Right.
use a luxury yarn, and I have a feeling a lot of other people will identify with what I'm saying, if I were going
Yeah,
to use
for
a
sure.
luxury yarn, and in fact, I the reason that I was so attracted to you was that you used qiviut. I haven't encountered anybody who has actually made a sweater of it. And I've looked at it a couple of times now at Rhinebeck. I've come this close to purchasing it for a sweater,
Mhm.
but I'm the kind of knitter, if I don't have a specific pattern in mind,
Mhm.
I'm not investing in the yarn, especially this yarn.
Right.
So I keep looking for, like, well, what pattern would I knit with this? Because it has very good stitch definition.
Hmm.
So, and you're all stockinette, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also,
So, I mean, it looks beautiful in lace and it looks beautiful in things that like vary between knits and pearls. So I haven't found a pattern yet. And when I saw that you knit this, I was like, how interesting. So,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. So, yeah, what motivated that?
I just thought, like in my head, I saw the pattern and I knew I wanted these two colors and I knew it would be perfect for me. I have a very, I can have a very eccentric sense of style. I don't, everybody loves a good basic, but I often find them to be boring. And that's not a bad thing. I still love a basic. I just haven't really knit many. If I'm gonna take the time, I guess, to knit something that's essentially couture, like built to my measurements, often I modify things to fit me exactly. I want something that really does look luxury as well. I grew up doing like modeling and fashion, a lot of stuff with that. So I've always been inspired by fashion. And one of my favorite houses has been um, Gucci, but also I do really love a lot of, I believe it's Chanel who was in like heavily featured in Funny Face, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Funny Face I think is Givenchy because
Givenchy. Okay.
That was Audrey Hepburn's designer of
Yes.
choice. But I thought you were going to say Schiaparelli because she
I
did a
do
lot
love
of shades
Schiaparelli.
with bugs and
Yes. I
yeah.
do love Schiaparelli a lot. Um, they always have such magnificent designs. But
I
yeah,
also thought you might say Alexander McQueen because he did like, really unusual.
he does. I like a lot of his older men's stuff. I don't dislike his women's stuff. I just wasn't as drawn, I guess, as the other three that we just talked about. But yeah, if I'm gonna make something that's gonna take me 6 months to make and has a high price point, I want that high fashion feel that I can still wear in everyday life. But for me,
So you're in the camp of if you have fine china and sterling silverware, don't keep it for holidays and special occasions. Use it every day and enjoy it.
yes,
Okay,
exactly.
got it. Got it. It takes all types. So I think that's just, so refreshing and wonderful to hear and wonderful to see. So, um, you said something that I was going to ask you about. It took you 6 months.
I started in April of this year and I finished, I think it was um November, beginning of November.
That's a long time.
It
I've
is.
I've knit something that took me 4.5 months because it was on a size one needle and it involved 9 colors and it
Mhm.
was Fair
Oh,
Isle had steeking. And to
yes.
me, like, I've never heard anyone say to me that they knit something that took longer than that. You're the first. So is it because you're working that it's spaced out over a longer period of time, or you're
Yeah.
not monogamous?
I'm not monogamous. I do have a primary project that I have. So this was my primary project for the full 6 months. But I did try to break it up with some other projects because, well, it's not a size one needle. It was a 3.5 that I worked on, and that's still pretty small. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't destroying my hands with holding something that small for so long.
3.5 US
3.5 millimeter, sorry.
millimeter,
Yes.
which I think is a size 3 US, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
I can
Which,
never remember the.
yeah, I'm not, I mean, you and I are both numbers people because
Yeah.
I didn't tell you this. I don't usually research anybody who comes on my show, but I was a little nervous about you, I must admit,
Nice.
because of your handle, the
Bookish alchemist.
bookish alchemist. Thank you very
Yes.
much. That was a senior moment. It intimidated me because I'm not bookish, and I wouldn't fancy myself an alchemist. So I was like, okay, this person is like very unusual. You better not go in like totally blind. So I knew that you were an environmental scientist, and I knew that you had an engineering background, as do I.
Okay.
It's not unusual to me anymore because so many of the people who I've interviewed for this channel are in the sciences or they're engineers. Well, a lot of
Mhm.
engineers, a lot of quants because people don't realize that there can be a lot of math involved in knitting. Like just what you were describing that you had to do the increases in order to size it up, somebody who's not a numbers person could be very intimidated. Like, how many repeats? And I have to add two repeats, and there's an odd number, or, they might like freak out. Where am I putting those? But
Yeah.
it just rolled off your tongue like, I do this every day. It's
Well,
like,
also, not to make anybody nervous about that, I've always been really terrible with math. I've always been, it trips me up. It takes me a while to be able to process it, and I have to write everything down. So it's possible for people too who don't particularly excel at math. Um, but at the end of the day, I wanted it. So I did it.
that's always the case. I mean, that's how it was with my 4.5 month project. I never steeked before, and here I was steeking on something that wasn't Shetland wool, it wasn't a sticky yarn, and I had that freight check in hand ready to catch the little loops as they started to unravel. So, yeah, I too wanted it,
Yes.
and for me, that's probably the equivalent in my wardrobe of what you just showed us. Like, it's very special, and yet I do want to wear it. I don't have a lot of occasions to wear it because it's short sleeve, so there's like a
Mhm.
limited time period that you can wear short sleeve. It's wool, but it's not heavy wool, but still on a 90-degree day in New York with the humidity, I'm not wearing it. Anyway, it's very precious because it took me a long time. It
Yeah.
seems like you're not counting this as precious. I don't know, because you're willing to really wear it and get your use out of it.
Well, I use the things that I feel are very precious to me because they're precious and that I love them so much. I want to be able to use them all the time. So this is one of my prized possessions. It gets put in a very special place. I have cats, so I make sure that they can't get anywhere near it. We don't really have to worry about moths where I am, so I don't have a cedar chest. There's not really any worry about it being chewed on. But it's not left out. It can't be left out, or, you know,
Mm,
I'd be
mm.
worried about a claw perhaps snagging on it.
Oh,
Um, but
yeah.
yeah, I like having the things that are expensive or took a long time using it in my everyday life when I can.
It's so unusual. It's so, so, so unusual. Um, I wonder how many people are going to knit that pattern now when they see it. You have to like check how many projects there are on Ravelry and see
Yeah,
if that number starts to go up. I mean, not that I have that much clout, but it'd be interesting to see. Some of these things people never find. If you're just skimming through Ravelry, you might
right.
not come across that. The filters are not going to identify, like, what's an exotic, unusual, all over print.
Yeah. Well, I do know that Meredith is an entomologist, and she's currently getting her PhD at I forget which university. It might be University of Arizona, but she is in Arizona. So she has so many like patterns based on bugs. So I know she
So
has one that
perfect for her.
um yeah, exactly. And so I just love seeing all of that kind of stuff. And it really resonated with me just because of that background. Now, a lot of people think it's a spider.
Oh
But
no,
I
I
don't.
knew it was an ant.
Okay, perfect. I don't like spiders, unfortunately. But yeah, I like ants. They're really cool.
Well, okay. I wouldn't say that I like ants. I don't fancy any bugs. And in New York, we have a lot of them. But they're tricks. I learned when I first moved here. Sprinkle boric acid around. It keeps a lot of stuff away. I mean, now I don't need to do that anymore. But when I first moved into my apartment, the person
Mhm.
who lived here before left me that as a gift.
Oh no.
Well,
Mm,
yeah, but you learn.
yeah, boric acid, that's a good one. Okay, I'll keep note of that.
I think that's what it was. I mean, it is almost 50 years ago that I moved into this apartment.
New
Completely.
York native at this point.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I I'm here. I'm here for the
That's me.
duration. After September 11th, if I didn't leave, I ain't never leaving.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, there's too much fabulous stuff here,
I
so
know.
I can't.
It's amazing. I was up last summer. I went to go see Cabaret when Eddie Redmayne was playing. It
Oh, Eddie Redmayne.
was
Oh,
amazing.
yeah, great. So I see you have your little butterflies up there. You must be interested in entomology too.
A bit. I do like butterflies as well. I don't collect too many things. It's just books and butterflies and good yarn. I did a vicuña hood recently.
I
Um,
knew there was something else that you were planning to work with. Vicuña, or was there something else? Oh,
I
maybe
have
Vicuña. So
vicuña was
Vicuña is even
yeah,
more expensive than qiviut.
yes. About the same, but yes. Technically it is a I don't want to say more luxurious. They're just different from different regions. Um, this is the hood that I made. I was not going to purchase this. I was gonna wait another year and a half or so because I want to make financially responsible decisions. But my wonderful boyfriend bought 50 grams for me. Um, and that was for our anniversary. So I was able to make a little hood with it.
It was enough to make that.
Yes. This is a self-drafted pattern. Just because this is the Acorn bonnet. Um, I have testers working on this one right now. But I wanted to make something that people who were new to cabling could work on. Just because it's knit flat, super easy to like practice on and kind of step into the cabling game. A lot of people feel like are intimidated by cables, which I totally understand, but they're so much fun. It's like a little puzzle.
Show it up close again. Okay, so it's, oh, I see there's a cable on the edge. I was gonna
On the
say,
edge,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
now I see it.
And then a little bit of the cross stitching here.
Yes, great.
So the
So,
vicuña is really, really soft. It feels like a cloud, I would say,
mm,
a cloud on your skin. But then, and this will be a 2026 project, I was able to find a type of yarn called paco-vicuna, which is a cross between alpaca and vicuña. Not a yarn mixture, but the animal itself is actually a hybrid animal
oh,
between the two. And so they are able to be raised in the US, which helps cut costs. Vicuña themselves, I believe, have to be they are local to like the Andes
the
Mountains
Andes.
in Peru, and Argentina and some of the surrounding countries. But this is a lot less. I was able to find 1,200 yards for 450 on eBay. Um, so there's some pretty cool options out there for luxury yarns that don't come with the insanely high price tag too.
Who's the maker of this yarn?
This was from Johnson Farms.
Okay, don't know them.
I don't know them either. They're from Johnson Farms. These were born and bred and shorn in Colorado, so the whole entire processing. But here I can show you.
Jefferson Farms.
Oh, Jefferson Farms. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Yes. But yeah, they're based out of Denver, Colorado. I'm not sure if they're open anymore because I saw several things from them that were on eBay from a third-party seller, who like specializes in the luxury yarns, but they're awfully cute.
Well, I'll
Love the
certainly be
pictures.
looking on Ravelry to see, like, they must have a Ravelry page to see if stuff is discontinued or if they're not around anymore. That would be a
Right.
pity. Because we need more people manufacturing yarn in the United States.
Yes.
And it's hard. I mean,
Mhm.
it's expensive to do it here.
Yes. Well, so for the vicuña yarn, the pure blend that I got was from a company called Shepherd Textiles, and they're a veteran-owned company here in the US, I believe. And so they have a few other really cool textiles there as well. One that they had is Cervelt, I believe it's called. which is from a red deer in New Zealand. That's on my list of wanting to try at some point. They take it, I believe, from like the chest and the under the stomach. So it's very downy. But yeah, they have some cool
So,
stuff.
how are you finding out about these? Are you researching? Because
Sometimes,
some of
yeah.
these I've heard of, but some of these
Okay.
I have not heard of.
Yeah. I do like to look up like different things. I've kind of started to do something with some of my friends of like personal development curriculums because I always like to learn. And a lot of times I feel like people stop learning once they graduate college. So one of my personal curriculums for this next year is like textiles and fibers and actually learning a bit more in depth about different things. Just because I work with it, I'd like to know more about what I'm doing.
Okay. These are like fringe. I wow. It's mind blowing to me. Like I wouldn't even know beyond the luxury yarns that we hear about. Cashmere, vicuña, alpaca,
Hmm.
um, qiviut, and maybe there's one or two others, but other animals.
Yeah,
I didn't know that deer were putting
I didn't
off
either.
anything that was soft. I just see that as like flat, like a horse. Well,
Yeah.
not a horse tail. I wonder if anybody's doing stuff with horse tails because they seem fluffy and soft. Ooh, yeah, or human hair.
Oh, that would be. I know I've seen people spin directly from their
A
dogs.
French poodle, yes. Now, that would be great. I had
That
an
would be, yeah.
apricot French poodle when I was growing up. Oh, how I wish that we had saved. Actually, her hairbrush looks like the things that they card with.
Oh, wow.
It
Okay.
was like a small rectangle with
Uh,
wire things. That's 65 years ago or
yeah.
so. I could have been saving all that fur. My
A
mother
poodle
was
sweater.
My mother was a dog groomer. She was brushing dogs every day. She could have collected like huge quantities. Who knew?
Yeah.
I could have been a billionaire.
Doubling up from the boarding business and a fiber business on the side.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what's on your needles now?
I'm finishing up the Inga sweater from Knit. I think that'll be my last one for 2025. Obviously, as we're coming to a close, I think I'm be able to finish the last sleeve in
Can
the
we
next week.
see it? Is it
Yeah,
handy?
it is. It's right here.
Is it also luxury?
It is not. I do enjoy my luxury
Oh,
yarns. I enjoy my luxury yarns, but I do like more affordable ones as well. The first one I did was the Winter Garden pullover, and this is an alpaca silk from Hobby. So it was pretty affordable overall.
this is
Um,
intricate.
this was the first colorwork pattern I did. And I just saw a picture of it and I tracked it down because I thought it was one of the most stunning patterns I'd ever seen. And I love being able to tell people that it's my first colorwork sweater because then I've had so many people tell me like, well, if you can do it, why can't I?
Mm,
And I love that people have gotten into color work because it's just so much fun to make. I mean, you did one for 4 weeks, 4 months, as you said, with 9 colors, was it?
fair
That's
isle.
that's amazing. I have not quite gotten to that yet. I've only gotten three at a time has been my most so. This is the Inga sweater.
Well, in Fair Isle, you're only using two colors on a row at any one time. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
it's not really different, but you have to manage,
Yeah,
all the color changes and the floats to try and get it to be smooth and not puckered.
that's true. Yeah. Still a lot of management.
And I personally use both hands. Like I'll have one color in one hand, one color in the other hand.
Okay.
And I find that is a little faster for me. I've seen other techniques. I'm assuming that you don't do that. You have both colors on one finger?
Yes, and I do knit English as well, so it's in my right hand.
Oh, but you have a system and it works for you, and you're able to
Uh,
get some speed going if
yeah,
you
yeah.
powered through a project like that. That looks like even more work than the qiviut one
This was
because
it this
those
done?
ants, they're the same all
They are.
over. So once you get that, grid in your
Down.
head, but
Hmm.
this is constantly changing. There's a lot of different patterns. I would think this
Yes.
would be much more difficult to knit.
It was more thought intensive as far as paying attention. But the yarn weight itself is was bigger, so I was able to finish this one in 4 months. Yeah. It really was down to the weight. Using I think the ants was a fingering weight. Um, so it was very small. That's why it took so long. But otherwise, um, yeah. I do.
Fingering weight is my preferred weight.
Okay. It's so
Occasion,
beautiful, but
yeah, I mean, because it has drape and it still has the warmth. And I mean, if I'm knitting something that's chunkier, it's going to be more of an outer garment. Even this, it's fingering weight.
it's lovely.
Once you get the color work and you have the floats behind it, it does make it a little thicker.
Hmm.
But if you use an even finer yarn, like I did with the size 1 needle, that was lace weight. So even where there's floats and you have a double thickness, it's still not thick.
Yeah,
And that's kind of like miraculous. I like that thin, like
I do
banana.
too. Yeah, it looks almost like a cloth at that point, at a certain point.
It's just different, different. I mean, there's a place for everything. On a really cold day, I might want something chunky. I just don't gravitate to it. I think because they knit up too fast,
Hmm.
and I would have too much output. I want less output because I have less space.
Right.
So
Yes,
I'm in the
exactly.
camp with you. Do the things that take many months, and they're challenging.
Hmm.
I don't know if this is like an engineer thing, but we like the challenge, don't we?
Yeah. I do like something that's pushing my capabilities. Yeah.
I hope people are, who are watching this comment about if they're also in that camp that they really like to be challenged and what's in their background that makes them want that challenge. So for you, you're saying you want to keep learning. I think it is like a mental exercise to follow a complicated pattern like that.
Mhm.
And that's the challenge. So for somebody who's maybe, a little lazier and they just want to do like solid color stockinette, okay, that's one type of person, but there are other types of people, and I'd really like to know about those people. Like what pushes them to do something that's maybe out of their comfort zone to be able to grow as a knitter and maybe grow as a person too.
Yeah.
It's really something. I'm like so thrilled to see those. Is there anything that's plain in your knitting arsenal?
The first project that I ever knit was the number two sweater or the number two vest from I think it's
Fixing
all my favorite
Max?
things knitwear.
Oh, my favorite things. Okay.
Yes. So that was the first garment that I made. It was probably about 4 years ago or so now. 4.5, 5. And that's plain stockinette, a little bit of ribbing for the sleeves. But after that, I went straight to cabling and all sorts of other things.
Good for you. Good for you. I mean, I think for a first project, you're entitled to do something that you're going to have success with and feel good about without struggling.
Right.
And I think that gives you then the impetus to take it to another level.
Right. Once you have the basics down, you can really learn anything from YouTube.
It's true of everything in knitting, don't you think?
Yes.
Like YouTube is out there, and I don't do brioche, but if I wanted to, I know that I could find several really good videos where I could learn how to do that if I wanted to. It's
Right.
not something I'm interested in learning because I mostly knit vintage, and vintage patterns aren't calling for that.
Where do you find the vintage patterns that you work?
Mm, a lot of different places. Trove, which is an Australian website,
Okay.
they have old newspapers, and they used to print patterns in the newspapers in the
Okay.
30s, and I guess even earlier. So that's one really good source. Through other vintage knitters, there are people on Etsy who specialize in these vintage patterns, and then there's some blogs. I can't think of the names of any of them offhand, but there are some people who occasionally put out patterns. There's some websites that just have, let's see, lists of, I think it's like Antique Pattern Library is a website.
Hmm.
You can specify the decade that you want, and they have books that are out of copyright that they've like reproduced, and you can download
Okay.
PDFs. Um, and on Ravelry, you can filter like vintage patterns, knitting or crochet. I mean, you can
Hmm.
specify what you want. Obviously you can specify the gauge that you're looking for. And one of the Ravelry fields that you can search on is the year published. So you can really whittle it down. And there are a lot of things on Ravelry too. Sometimes they'll tell you where they got the pattern, and then you can go find it.
Okay. If you have a moment further, I have two vintage pieces that my great grandmother made in the 60s, if you'd
Of
like to
course
see.
I have a moment. Yes,
Okay, let me
thank you
go grab
for.
those.
Okay, whoa.
I'll be right back.
Special treat. Extra credit. I'm so glad that you offered to show these. You said your great grandmother?
Yes, my great grandmother. Yes.
So
I
in
was
what?
only able to find one. One is in storage right now. But the other one is a little bit more wearable. But this is acrylic and Angora, I believe. Um, and so my great aunt had texted me and asked me if I wanted it because she knows that I knit. And I was like, yes, absolutely, because there's not too many patterns that are out there like this right now, but it just feels gorgeous.
Do you know what year she might have knit this?
I think this was in the 60s or 70s. It was before my grandmother was knitting, I think. So it's my father's mother, I believe. Yeah.
I was
There was a
going to
matching
guess.
one somewhere else in the family with a similar color combo, but I don't have that one.
I was going to guess the 80s because the sleeves look very bulbous. And in the
Yeah.
80s, I was knitting with little touches of Angora. It was very popular in the 80s.
Could have been the 80s then. I mean, my
But but it all depends on what year she was alive.
she was around until the 90s, I think.
So yeah, that would be my guess. It's it's really interesting to think about though. Maybe I should start putting the dates. I mean, I have Ravelry, but maybe inside of my sweaters I should put the dates so that if I ever have great grandchildren, they'll say, "Oh, great grandma Billie, she knit this in 1983."
Yeah, because once if my grandparents forget, then I just don't know at that point.
But that's my tip. 80s, I was there. People were knitting with Angora. And the sleeve, as I mentioned, that, it's not like a slender
Right.
sleeve.
That's true. It is a bigger sleeve, more of a puffed one.
Ooh, I wonder if you could find that pattern on Ravelry. Have you looked for it?
I haven't, no. Mm-mm.
Because it might be there.
It could be. I'll have to check now.
Ooh. Well, if you find it, let me know.
Okay, I will. Yeah. I don't go on Ravelry too often.
Oh, you don't?
No, a lot of the patterns I find are on from pattern makers directly posting on Instagram. And so I'll purchase from their website or Ravelry if they have that listed, but that's not where I find a lot of the patterns I make.
I use Ravelry for so many other reasons, though. Not just for looking for patterns. Um, looking at yarns
Hmm. Okay.
for sure. Like I will look for this Jefferson Farm company to see, where they at, what are they up to.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, and I follow some people. I want to see what they're knitting. Yeah, I follow them on Instagram too, so it's not so much about that. But I do find I'm in and out of Ravelry, not because of patterns, but I'm trying to think now, mostly probably yarns. Sometimes I'll look in the forums, like if I have, if I'm trying to do something and I can't find information about it. Like, for example, this is corrugated ribbing, so you're not
Okay.
just doing like knit and column of knits, column of pearls, but you're also changing color. So you have stranding behind your ribbing. It
I
makes
see.
it not flexible like regular one color ribbing. So, if you're looking for information about something like very specific like that, there might be people in forums talking about it. So sometimes I go there and I might pose questions, or I might be looking for, well, who's writing about corrugated ribbing and what's their experience. I mean, maybe somebody, like increasing and decreasing in this
Okay.
is really hard. But, people talk about it. People talk about all kinds of things on Ravelry. So,
That's true.
yeah, there's so many facets to it. Don't think of it as just a place where you can look for patterns, because there's about 1,000 other things. I mean, it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah, I should start using it more for a lot of other things. I get asked a lot to put my modifications up, and I just,
Well, see, there's that too. There's that too. If you're making something and you want to see who else has knit this,
yeah.
or if you're looking at a specific yarn, for example, qiviut, you can see that blend of qiviut with, what is it, merino? Oh, silk. So the qiviut with silk, you could see what have other people knit with that yarn.
Okay.
You can do like, can slice and dice in a lot of different ways
Hmm.
through Ravelry. So it's really worth investigating. Pull down all the, drop down menus and see. There's so much. It's unbelievable. I mean, I should bite my tongue when I say this. It's unbelievable that it's free. I know that
Yes.
they make money on advertising and selling patterns, so I'm not crying for them, but it's an amazing, amazing thing, and I don't know what would happen to the knitting universe if they ever took that site down. I think
Yeah.
people would be jumping out of windows.
Yeah. I know like it's such a huge hub for community in the knitting space. So it would be a huge blow if something ever happened to it.
So you're on Ravelry, you have an account, right?
I do have an account. I go on there occasionally.
Do you want people to be able to look at your work there, or you're not posting anything there?
I never post anything. I
Oh.
have one pattern up. Of one pattern up. I do need to prioritize that next year.
But the acorn pattern is your pattern. Is it going to be listed there?
It will be, yes. I think that'll be put up in the middle of January, just after testers finish up with it.
So you want people to be able to find you. So what is your Ravelry handle?
I don't even remember right now, Billy. Unfortunately,
Okay.
I have not been on in months. But I think it's Shayna White.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I would be remiss to not go into the book category a little bit with you. Is there a specific genre that you like to read about? And
Yes.
like, what role does, how can I say this? There's two big passions in your life, it sounds
Hmm.
like, outside of your professional stuff, reading and knitting.
Hmm.
Most people are lucky if they have one. You have two.
Hmm.
How can you divide the time, and like I sort of want to know like what's on your suggested reading list, and are there things that are about yarn and fiber that you're reading about or not related at all?
Yes. Okay. So I am a huge science fiction and fantasy reader. I like
What a surprise.
yes, exactly. The more intricate and detailed the world building is usually the more I like it. I do try to branch out into other genres just to expand what I'm reading. Um, but I am a huge fan of Christopher Paolini, who wrote Aragon, and has a fantastic science fiction book called To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. He took a decade to write that. I love Robin Hobb. She is a master fantasy writer. She has Assassin's Apprentice. And then for science fiction, this past year was an amazing year for me. I read The Three Body Problem, which is also a show on Netflix. Um, Basically, just what if aliens are coming to Earth? And it shows a lot of humanity, and how humanity responds to that incoming um, just insanity. And there was one other. It's okay. For fiber stuff though that I'm reading, I just picked up. I have two right now. Fabric: The Hidden History of the Material World by Victoria Finlay. This has been pretty interesting. So it's not necessarily on yarn itself, but more on fibers globally, and the impact of that. It's very, very detailed and so far well written. There's a lot of maps and just information on the impact that textiles had on the world, especially prior to the mass industrialization of garment worker and production, which is really, it is good because it allows people to be clothed adequately, but it's also bad at the same time because we have so much waste. Um, and then the other thing that I'm looking at is the Knitwear Manual. My boyfriend got me this for Hanukkah. And there's a lot of really interesting details inside on fibers, knitting techniques. I believe this one is more geared towards knitting machines, but it's still applicable for a lot of the information in here as well.
And who's the author of that?
This one is from Fashionary. So it's a complete guide to knitwear design. They also have a kit that comes with it with just pieces of there's a technical term for it. You have to make your swatches.
It
Just a
comes
moment.
with swatches.
You can get a set that comes with swatches so you can see how different techniques can make up yarn for machines. Yeah,
So woven
yes.
as opposed to machines that are knitting. Like stuff on a loom that's warp and wound.
Not a loom because it's not quite a loom. I have friends online who I've seen using just machine knitting. So they're still technically like by hand. They're not quite looms. They're almost like um
No, knitting machines I know of.
okay, okay.
There are all these little prongs and you put your
Yes.
stitches on them and
Yes,
you
yes.
run the thing back and forth. But
Mhm.
okay, so that's a knitted fabric that's
Yes.
produced as opposed to men's suiting that would be woven on a loom
Exactly.
with a warp and a weft.
Right.
Because that's fabric also.
Yes. Yes. So
And
for
these
the
machines, there are like certain countries that are really very expert at making them. I think Japan and Italy are like two of the places that really specialize in this super fine,
yes.
where they can make really intricate things. Interestingly, I was at this, I don't know what you would call it. It wasn't really a conference, but the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York has one day a year that they invite people from the garment center to come and show their wares. And there were people who were writing software programs to operate these types of knitting machines. And they're doing stuff more than just stockinette or more than just color work, but they're doing really intricate lace things that I don't even know if a person could execute those maneuvers. Like, big holes and small holes and, cable around the holes, like
Mhm.
very, very complicated, really unusual fabrics. Those machines are very expensive and the software is also like super expensive, but you can do really cool
Right.
stuff. I mean, it's more commercial. It's not for somebody to use at home.
But
But
it's really amazing the technology that they have to create that art, the wearable art now.
yeah,
Are you a part of the Fashion Institute of Technology?
no,
No. Okay.
no. But it's a walk from where I live. They have a
Mhm.
museum there, so sometimes I go there to see, what their exhibit's about. This was a particular day where, they had like a huge ballroom-sized space with all of these different vendors showing their stuff, button vendors and people who do pattern making, and um, there's one last establishment that makes fabric flowers
Okay.
for like the fashion industry. So he was there showing how, like, they have the presses out the petals of the flower, and the people glue the things together, and all these things are still largely made by hand. There used to be hundreds of these companies. He's the last remaining one. It's
Oh,
been
wow.
like in his family for generations. Yeah, I mean, New York is just full of interesting stuff, especially because we had the garment center. So,
Mhm.
when it comes to fabric, not much is being manufactured here anymore, but there was a time, and people still remember that time. It's not so long ago.
Right. Yeah,
Some people are trying to bring it back, but, it's expensive. Labor is expensive here.
it is very expensive here. I've had a lot of conversations around that online because what my most viral video is talking about how the sweaters that I've made, if I were to sell them, would cost thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, people ask me all the time, oh, do you sell the sweaters that you make? And I was like, well, like this sweater, for example, I don't know how long it took me. Let's say it took me 80 hours. I said, okay, at minimum wage, $16 an hour or so, this is going to put you in like $1,000
Mhm.
range plus the cost of the yarn. Are you prepared to spend that for this? No? That's why I'm not selling my knitting.
Right. But I wouldn't charge minimum wage either. And I don't think that most knitwear designers or knitters should either. Like I was quoting mine at 40 an hour, which I'm completely aware is not accessible for most people. That's not accessible for me, which is why I taught myself to knit. It's because I wanted to wear these products and garments that I would not be able to afford if I were to
Right.
commission somebody. But I've gotten people from other countries who are like, that would be a lot cheaper in my country. And I'm like, that's amazing. And that you can do that. We just don't have the ability to do that here in the US. Like labor is more expensive here.
Right, not if you're going to pay $4,000 a month rent.
Right.
You can't earn $1 a day and
Mm-mm.
cut it.
Unfortunately, but
Yeah,
it's
I
cool to
mean,
see how other people are able to do that though. Like there's a lot of really cool fashion, I think, coming out of Vietnam. Um, just from what I've been able to see. And they are able to do a lot of tailoring to people for their wardrobes and stuff too. But yeah, little side tangent.
yeah, yeah. Well, those skills used to exist in New
Mhm.
York. On my grandmother's day, um, people would be sewing the hooks on bras at home, like a little cottage industry, um, and doing finishing work, buttonholes, and a lot of things were done by hand right
Mhm.
here in, 7th Avenue, the Garment Center. Um, but it's gone.
I
It's
know. It's
gone.
very sad.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's sad for the many people who had businesses, and they're all kaput. Family businesses that were handed down generation after generation, and now the next generation, they don't want to do that. They want to go to medical school.
It is sometimes I'm curious whether I'm just in the knitting and crafting bubble, but I do feel like there is a resurgence in making things yourself to a certain degree when you have the opportunity. I feel like I've seen a lot of people branching out and teaching themselves to knit over the past year and wanting to have that connection to making something with their hands and having something well made as well. Because even these luxury designers, if you go to Nordstrom and you're looking at the sweaters there, they're I don't want to say always poorly made, but they're not well made in my opinion.
They're like slapped together just to
Mhm.
get it off the production line.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I do think there is a resurgence, and I think it's the younger people who are saying, like, wait a minute, we want slow fashion. We don't want our clothes going into landfill. This is
Mhm.
our land that we're going to have to live with. So, I think there is more of it. I personally am teaching kids at private schools, elementary school and middle school.
Oh
So their
wow.
parents think that this is something worthwhile for them, doing something with your hands. When I was a kid, we learned how to write the letters of the alphabet in block letters, and we also learned how to do script. It's like not being taught anymore because kids growing up today are all going to be on computer.
Mhm.
So what are they going to be doing with their hands?
Right.
Um, all these things are going to be lost. Watchmakers, you're going to be hard pressed to find any who can fix your antique clock. So I think it is really important to have dexterity to be able to do things. And as humans, we're going to lose some of that if we don't, teach our next generation. So I'm really happy teaching kids. And I see when I'm in the yarn shops, there are a lot of younger people. It's safe to say younger women because it is mostly women, at least for now. I think some men are realizing, hey, it's okay for us to do it too. But I do see younger people when I'm out and about in the yarn shop, so it's good. But mainly, like you say, you can get something that is exactly what you want. That ant sweater, you're not walking into Macy's and finding it. And if you do, it's going to be in acrylic.
Yes.
And
Which is
it's
an amazing medium to learn on. It's super accessible for so many people, but I personally love natural fibers and prefer to use them.
Well, it all goes back to where's it going to end up?
Yeah,
Plastic, it's not going to biodegrade.
right.
So that's a big concern. I mean, there are wools that are more affordable for sure. A lot of the Scandinavian yarns, like this yarn, Sander's yarn, it's not it's not pricey.
Right. Hobby has so many amazing like yarns that you can purchase that you can get a sweater's quantity for 40, $50
Yeah,
for a good quality. Knit Picks has some great options too. Like they are out there. I see a lot of people feel like they can't knit because it's expensive. And it doesn't have to be. I've also seen some really amazing content creators right now on online who will go to thrift stores, find quality yarn sweaters,
and
wash
unravel
them,
them.
and unravel them. Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite things to see right now.
There's a woman in France, somebody in one of my local knitting groups that I go to occasionally, that bought yarn from a woman in France who finds all these Italian sweaters around France that she unwinds. They're all cashmere. She only
Oh,
deals in
wow.
cashmere. And it's affordable because it's
Yeah.
like secondhand. She bought the sweater for a good price and she's able to unravel it, wash it, rewind it. I haven't bought anything from her because it just hasn't worked out with colors that I want or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think all of that is to the good. Repurpose, reuse. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. That's
You
probably a good place to stop. I know we could like gab for
a
a
while,
lot
yeah.
more time. Before we say goodbye, is there anything else that you wanted to show us that you haven't yet?
No, not right now. That's kind
Okay,
of the majority of my 2025. I did a Sophie hood, but that's a really popular pattern, so a lot of people are familiar with it.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't done. I'm not into the hood thing.
No.
I have a lot of berets. I try and do like something for each sweater that I knit. If it's like a winter sweater, like I have a
Yes.
navy beret for this.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. Hood is not in my thing, but again, I see the younger women doing that. So good, fine.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy whenever I see anybody knitting. On the subway, I run into people all the time who like sitting across from me. I just had this young black woman the other day. She was crocheting, sitting right next to me, and she pulled out her phone and she said, "Can I take a picture of you?" I said, "Well, you have to do like a selfie and take both of us." So yeah, I'm always happy when I see fellow knitters out and
Yeah.
about. Well, this was really fun. I'm glad that we got to meet. If you find yourself in New York, please look me up. You wouldn't be coming to Vogue Knitting Live, would you?
I'm not. No, not
Okay,
this
well,
year.
on your way
I
to
do
Boston.
want to make it out to Rhinebeck next year, though. I'm going to try. So I will definitely message you and see if you're going to be there.
Oh, good. I try and go every year. This particular year, I found myself in Paris on the exact days of Rhinebeck. So,
That's a good trade.
yeah, I mean, I wanted to go to this Congress on Art Deco, and those were the dates, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to forego Rhinebeck. But, I mean, if all goes well, I should be at Rhinebeck next year. So, yeah, let's stay in touch.
Perfect. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, and happy knitting.
Happy knitting and happy holidays, too.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. It was very nice to meet you.